So we're going to look at square root in algebraic polynomials, and essentially if we look at 6x square, we're going to start with looking at squares and then we'll go to square roots. And the second term is minus 5x, and then you have plus 3. Okay, so you can make a grid so we don't miss anything, but also because it gives us a way of looking at these patterns. So 6x squared minus 5x plus 3. So this grid essentially has 9 elements, and when you use the square root method, essentially you do the first piece and then you use the L and then you use the bigger L, as we saw earlier with numbers. So here if you look at it, this box will give you the x power 4s. Okay, so that is of course 36 x power 4. These two boxes, this one and this one, actually gives you x cube because it's x and x square. So the x cube coefficient is of course 6x square negative 6x square times 5x, and this one is also 6x square times, well, negative 5x. So these two essentially give you 2 times 6x square times negative 5x. So this is the only x cube term. So it has 2 times 6x squared, see that? Yeah. And then of course you have the negative 5x, which is 25 x squared term, but this is not the only x squared term. You also have x squared terms from this and this, which is again this 2 times 6x squared times 3, right? And then you have these two terms, negative 5x times 3 and 2 of those. So this is your x term, which is 2 times negative 5x times 3, and of course you have the 1's term, which is 3 square. So this is how sort of the terms work out. You have the x power 4, x cube, x square is these 3 terms, then x is these, and this is just the 1's. I hope this is clear. So when you are doing the square root and you do the first term, right, so you have this big expression when you are doing the square root, right? So the first thing you come up with is the 6x squares. So that gives you the 36x power 4, which corresponds to this. Unlike with the numbers, there is not much of mix up here because there is x power 4 is different from x cube. X squared, there are 3 terms, so there's a bit of mix up, and otherwise there isn't. So this corresponds to what we did right here, right? That's clear. So now when you want the next term, which is basically minus 60x cube plus 61x square, so then you are looking at 2 times 6x square. So there is a 12x square, and then you have the choice of the next term. What are you going to add here? This is a negative term, so you need to have negative something that you're going to multiply the 12x square with as well as itself with. So here it turns out that the x term is 5x. So that ends up giving you the minus 60x cube. And then of course you have negative 5 times negative 5x times negative 5x, which is plus 20x square, 25x square, right? So then when you subtract it, this gets cancelled, this becomes negative, this becomes positive, and so you get your 36x square minus 30 9. And so now the term, what are the terms? You have one term, you're going to multiply this number that's going to come. In this case, we know it's 3. We'll have the 2 times 6x square again. So that is your 12x square. It is also going to have 2 times negative 5x. So it is negative 10x. And then you have the third term, right? To get 36, you need 3. So you basically do 3. That gives you your 36x square. And then you have, of course, your 30x. And because this is a perfect square, you'll also get the 9. And that's how you get the square root. So you can see all these terms, the double of this, that gives you your 12x square. Double of this, that gives you this 12x square. 2 times negative 10x, which is this one, right? And the new term that got added, which is the 3's, which is this one, and this one.